It is a truism, or at least has become one in American politics, that the most important issue Americans vote on is the economy, even though most Americans don't really understand how the economy works or cannot determine whether or not a candidate's economic policies are either realistic or workable, right? Donald ran on bringing down inflation and interest rates and prices. He said these things would happen on day one. 10 months in, prices are up, inflation is up, American farmers are being bankrupted. And because of his insane and unworkable tariff policies, our relationships with our trading partners have been essentially destroyed, or if not destroyed, seriously weakened. America has lost its standing in the world, all because most Americans don't actually think about other serious concerns when casting a vote for the most powerful person on the planet. Their economic concerns, even if they are ill informed, override their concerns about things like the environment, the oncoming climate catastrophe, whether or not we have clean air and water, whether or not our children are going to have safe vaccines available to them. Their concerns about the economy override their concerns about individual rights. They forget about how important the Supreme Court is in either protecting those rights or, as is happening now, destroying them. Right out the window go concerns about a woman's right to bodily autonomy or any person in America's right to due process. There's something else that we forget about. There's something else because we are told that really the only thing that matters, or the thing that matters more than anything else in a presidential election, is the economy. We don't really think about or factor in the character of the person for whom we're voting. And by that, I mean, are we concerned ever that the person we're planning to put into the Oval Office has the impulse control of a toddler or is a greedy, corrupt grifter who will bankrupt the U.S. Treasury in order to enrich himself and his family and his already obscenely wealthy friends? Do we think about whether the person we're putting into the Oval Office is going to protect and defend the Constitution or even protect and defend the White House? Do we ever think about how reckless it would be to put in the Oval Office somebody who has been obsessed with what he refers to as nuclear for decades? Somebody who actually has convinced himself that he knows more about nuclear than the generals. Somebody who has fantasized openly about nuclear conflagration. Do we ever think that perhaps it may not be such a great idea to put such a person in charge of the most deadly nuclear force in world history? Well, we probably should have thought about that, because guess who has decided that he's going to order the Pentagon to start carrying out nuclear tests again for the first time in over 30 years? Pretty sure you know who I'm talking about. This is a dangerous turn of events. And I know there's a lot going on, but this is something we need to be paying very, very close attention to. Again, for the first time in 30 years, for no perceivable reason that I'm aware of, the President of the United States is ordering the Pentagon to begin carrying out nuclear tests. If you were one of our global adversaries, what would that make you think? Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of Mary Trump Live. It is good to be here with you. It is day 30 of the Republican government shutdown. It's also Donald's shutdown because the Republicans shut the government down pretty much at Donald's behest. And pretty much at Donald's behest, they are not anywhere near to reopening it. There's no end in sight, apparently. According to the Bipartisan Policy Center, at least 670,000 federal workers are on furlough, and roughly 730,000 essential employees are continuing to work with no pay. And if that isn't bad enough, federal funding for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP, runs out this Saturday. Over 41 million Americans rely on these food assistance benefits, and red states are expected to suffer the most. And I've talked about this before, and I'm going to continue talking about it. The fact that 41 million Americans are dependent on food assistance benefits like SNAP should make all of us hang our heads in shame. Of those 41 million who receive SNAP benefits, 39% are children. And in 2 days, they will not have access to those benefits anymore because Republicans, especially Donald, don't care if children go hungry. Some Republican leaders realize that this is not a good look for them, especially since, and this is why they care, red states are going to suffer. They are pushing for the federal government to continue funding SNAP through the shutdown, which it could do. There were $5 billion available to continue funding SNAP, but Donald said he would not access those funds for such a purpose. I mean, come on, the guy has a ballroom to build, for God's sakes. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, doesn't care either. He appeared on CNN today and explained why he thinks Americans should go hungry. Watch here.
The reality is that this has been a stalemate for 30 days, and it's not just Democrats. You also have one of the most conservative Republican senators, Josh Hawley, who says, at least please move money around to feed people. Why not consider that?
Because if you deviate from the goal of reopening the entire government, Chuck Schumer and the radicals over there will continue to play games with people's paychecks, their livelihoods. And if you do just part of this, it will reduce the pressure for them to do all of it, to do their basic job, and that is reopen the government. This is very real and very serious, and they can end it today. They can do it right now. All they have to do is, we just need 5 more Democrats in the Senate to help us reach the 60-vote threshold. We don't have enough Republicans to do the right thing on our own. We need them to do the right thing.
Wow, where's the pushback? I want to hear the pushback. I want to hear somebody say to that sycophantic, smug poser's face, you're lying through your teeth. The Republicans control the executive branch in both houses of Congress. The government is shut down because they refuse to negotiate with Democrats. That's how this is supposed to work. They need 60 votes. Well, guess what? They have to give at least 7 Democrats something to vote for. The Democrats are not responsible for this, and they should not be forced to vote for a budget bill that they know is going to harm not just their constituents, but all of the American people. The Democrats are doing the right thing by hanging on to the only leverage they have, because we saw what happened when they went along with the Republicans the first time around. A budget bill was up for a vote. In that last 6 months, the Trump regime has come very close to dismantling our constitutional form of government. So Democrats, please continue to stand strong. Mike Johnson can continue to lie all he wants. Most Americans aren't that stupid. most Americans understand who is in charge and who is responsible. Republicans can keep playing the blame game because it is pretty much the only game they have. They are, after all, led by the most aggrieved baby in American history. But a recent Washington Post ABC News Ipsos poll found that more Americans, 45%, blame Donald and Republicans for the shutdown. Meanwhile, 33% blame Democrats. As often is the case, polls like that mystify me. Only 45%. Also, 45 plus 33. I know. Sorry, I'm going to do some very complicated arithmetic here. So sorry. 78. That's only 78%. What do the other 22% think is going on here? Do they not know? Are they not aware that the entire government is shut down? Are they not aware that they're not going to be getting SNAP benefits? They're not going to be getting their Social Security checks, that they shouldn't fly because there are no air traffic controllers anymore? Anyway, at least a plurality of people blame Republicans, which is exactly as it should be. It's just that more people should be blaming them than are. But then you have to remember that 33% is pretty much the Republican base, and they will support anything Donald does and will blame Democrats for everything, including Donald's failure, for example, to release the Jeffrey Epstein files, which is worth repeating whenever possible. Let's discuss the issue at the heart of this shutdown. Today, the New York Times reported about how much Obamacare, that is to say, the Affordable Care Act prices, will rise if Republicans refuse to extend the ACA subsidies that are also set to expire in the coming months. According to the Times report, Republicans abandoning these subsidies would result in huge monthly cost increases for people across different incomes and age groups. For instance, people age 40 making $35,000 a year could see their premiums go up by $132 a month. People age 40 making $65,000 a year could see premiums go up by $196 a month. People age 60 making $65,000 a year could see their premiums go up by a staggering $920 a month. That is why Democrats stood their ground and refused to make common cause with a Republican Party that doesn't care about the economic or physical or emotional or psychological health of the American people. Why would they make any concessions for nothing in return except an economy that is going to continue to harm the American people more as the Republicans continue to chip away at the safety net? The right's refusal to extend these subsidies is the entire reason the government is shut down, as it should be. They've said that they won't negotiate on this issue until the government is up and running again. That's your strategy? In what universe would Democrats go along with that? I mean, that would be a Lucy with the football moment for the ages. I mean, obviously the Democrats have trusted Lucy with the football far too many times. It was a meme. Actually, a GIF. It was a GIF and a meme. But finally, they realize Republicans cannot be trusted here. So why not do the negotiating now and give Democrats incentive to help Republicans end this extremely and increasingly destructive shutdown? Well, the Trump regime's answer to this question is to lie and blame the previous administration, which would be funny if I weren't so sick of Donald and those in his regime blaming Joe Biden. That is not Joe Biden. That is baby JD Vance. And I want you to take a look at his comments today about this issue.
I want to answer the question about health insurance premiums because, look, we don't want the American people's health insurance premiums to go up. We're very worried about this. The president's been talking about this since before we even took office, that we're inheriting a healthcare system that has suffered some real problems under the Biden administration. Because of that, you're seeing health insurance premiums skyrocket.
No. Also, Donald doesn't care about health insurance. I mean, again, remember when he was asked about it in his debate with Kamala Harris? You've been trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act since 2017 and replace it with something better. What are you going to replace it with? Asking the question 8 years after Donald started to try to take away the Affordable Care Act. And his answer was, well, we have a concept of a plan. They don't have anything with which to replace the Affordable Care Act. They just want Americans to go without health insurance, apparently. The truth is also that Donald is more than happy to keep the government shut down for a couple of reasons. One, he's lazy. He doesn't have to work. He can go on very expensive taxpayer-funded vacations to Asia, where he's given gold crowns and feted as if he were some kind of decrepit emperor. Also, it's easier to grift off of the American people when their attention is taken up with trying to get food on the table. And finally, and this is where Mike Johnson comes back into the mix. Epstein files? What Epstein files? Using the government shutdown as an excuse, Speaker Mike Johnson is refusing to bring the House of Representatives back into session. And he's using that as an excuse not to seat Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva, who overwhelmingly won her special election over a month ago. Johnson has refused to swear her in. Now, that's just wrong anyway. But why? First of all, why is he allowed to do this? Because what Johnson is doing here is overturning the results of a free and a fair election. Why, though? I mean, if Grijalva is sworn in, yeah, the Democrats will have narrowed the Republican margin even further, but the Republicans will still have the majority. And in the House of Representatives, that's all it takes, because unlike the Senate, the House of Representatives is a democratic institution. In other words, majority rules. It's because Grijalva will be the deciding vote on a resolution to demand that the DOJ/FBI hand over the aforementioned Epstein files. So, something to consider, perhaps. This week, MSNBC host Nicole Wallace shed light on a new organization that's guiding Americans on how to defy Donald lawfully. Watch this.
As Donald Trump continues with his sweeping obsession of retaliation and retribution and mounting daily threats against anyone who dares to dissent, anyone who dared to try to hold him accountable, Americans have made it clear that they will not accept doing nothing about it. Millions of Americans turned out in a massive and peaceful way this month in thousands of cities and small towns for one of the largest single-day protests ever in American history. But there's still that feeling. I'm sure all of you ask it and talk about it in your daily lives. I hear it every day. What else can we do about it to defy what we're seeing, to defy what feels wrong, and defy the lawlessness of what we see playing out? Starting today, there's an answer. There's a new way to find some of those answers. And this is brand new, an exclusive announcement right here about the launch of an effort called defiance.org. It is a coalition of national security veterans, whistleblowers, and pro-democracy leaders providing monthly updates and simplified direction on how you might choose to push back peacefully, lawfully, and defiantly against presidential abuses of power. Already, the first wave of former government officials have signed onto their new Declaration of Defiance, a nationwide mutual aid pact to defend any group targeted by Donald Trump's retribution.
One of Defiance.org's founders is Miles Taylor, who's a former chief of staff at the Department of Homeland Security during Donald's first term. In 2018, Taylor was the anonymous author of an op-ed about the quote-unquote quiet resistance with the administration that was working to block Donald's worst policies. That didn't turn out very well, though, did it? Anyway, Taylor is leading a bipartisan team of ex-national security officials, whistleblowers, former lawmakers, and others. He posted on Twitter about the success of the organization he's seen so far, Along with a warning to the Trump regime, he wrote, quote, "I was not expecting this. It's been less than a day and already tens of thousands of Americans have signed up at defiance.org. People are less afraid than I thought. I guess that means the White House should be more afraid than it is," unquote. It is going to require every arrow in our quiver, every tool in our toolbox to resist the depredations of the Trump regime. All of us need to do whatever we can, separately and together. We need more organization. We need more coordination, certainly, and we need more voices standing up across the political spectrum. And we also need to be very careful who we are putting our trust in. Part of what we also need is for Congress to show the same courage. And I mean Democrats in Congress, because let's face it, the Republicans are fascists and they are not going to lift a finger to stop whatever the Trump regime is doing. Democrats in Congress need to show the same kind of courage being shown by individual citizens in this country, by those who are standing up to Donald at, in some cases, serious personal risk. So, yes, let us organize. Let us stand together always. As mentioned, I mean, I'm pretty sure you would know this without my mentioning it. It's Halloween tomorrow. So remember, we want to see your best resistance themed costumes and decorations. Send your photos and videos to the email that's on the screen right now. That is info@marytrumpmedia.com. And we're going to pick a few of our favorites to feature on the air tomorrow night. So far, the submissions we've received have been most excellent. So help us prove that it is possible to celebrate one of the best holidays of the year while standing up for democracy. So happy night before Halloween. And hopefully it doesn't do what it did today, which is rain so much that I almost drowned in the New York City subway. Yeah, I don't actually think there's any water left in the sky. So we should be fine. And with that, we have reached today's emotional support moment. It is Thursday, and I would like to treat you to one of my favorite sights and sounds. You probably know what I'm talking about. A video of waves crashing on a secluded beach at sunset. Enjoy the view, and I will see you on the other side. That makes everything better. Okay, let us get your questions. I'm way too relaxed now, though. Oh, I'll get tense in a second. Don't worry. Okay. Questions, comments, etc. Kicking it off with Midas Cheryl. Thank you, as always, for gifting one Mary Trump Media membership. And yes, indeed, we do have the Midas Cheryl twofer. Thank you, Midas Cheryl. Question: what's your favorite Halloween candy? Is that a rhetorical question? There's only one answer. One. I know it's controversial for some people, but there's no controversy here at all. The answer to that question, what is the greatest Halloween candy of all time, is yes, the candy corn. And not those creepy big candy corns, the little baby candy corns, which have the extra added benefit of having one of the greatest qualities of a Reese's peanut butter cup. There are different ways to eat them. No arguing. I know that there probably half of you are just reassessing your opinion of me. That's okay. That is a hill I am willing to die on. Linda, thank you so much for gifting one Mary Trump Media membership. That's awesome. Joe, thank you very much for the swear jar fee. Moses Mike makes me do it every time. Yeah, what a horrible person he is. And Joe again. Thank you, Joe. Question: do you think the Dems will stand their ground? It's yeah, actually I do. I wasn't sure. I'm not, I'm who knows, right? But it's looking good because the longer this goes on, the less incentive in some ways they have to cave. So I don't, yeah. Hang tough, keep the faith. In the middle of nowhere, wow, thank you so much for this. Gifted 5 Mary Trump Media memberships. Fabulous. Susan, thank you very much as always for that. Comment: government shutdown equals Epstein files cover up. Yeah, totally. I mean, it's so obvious. And it should shock us to our core that the third most powerful person in the United States government is essentially keeping the government closed to protect Donald. Because let's put it this way. Mike Johnson knows what's in the Epstein files. Why would he be going to such great lengths? I mean, the guy is bending over backwards to make sure those files don't get released. Why? We know why. Kardak, magnificent question. Aaron Parnas reported that no Miller and others have moved onto military bases for increased security. Your thoughts? My thoughts are unprintable. I mean, it's sort of like the beginning of a joke, right? A puppy murdered and a Nazi walk into a military base. I don't know. Like if I were, well, I was going to say something obscene. I was going to say if I were Kristi Noem, I don't even want to go there. But Kristi Noem just got $178 million to buy herself 2 private jets. I'd just be flying around the private jets. My thoughts are that they're afraid of something, obviously, to which I say, good, live in fear. Nazis. She's a sad tomato. She's a sad tomato, I think. Cool. Question: I'd be so embarrassed to be MAGA. Well, one of the extra benefits of being MAGA is having no self-awareness whatsoever. So they are incapable of being ashamed, as is Donald. Sharik 0912, comment or question. On a side note, are you able to do any pleasure reading, like not work-related case studies, CE abstracts? If so, genre and author. I hate saying this because I used to read 6 books a week for pleasure. Like in college, I read Henry James for pleasure. I didn't study American literature, so I just read Henry James for fun. I used to read Faulkner for fun. Now, not so much. But I know, I'm well aware that I need to get back into the habit of reading. For a while there, I was every morning I'd spend an hour reading a book. So recognizing that, I read something recently. I can't remember what I was reading, but it had something to do with Charles Dickens. I know he's a horrible human being, but he's a great writer. So I just bought the Pickwick. I bought the Pickwick Papers. I probably have 7 copies of it in storage somewhere, but I haven't read Dickens in a very, very long time. And I thought that would be entertaining. And I mean, credit where credit is due. He's quite extraordinary at world building. And I want something a little. Bleak House is my favorite Dickens novel, but it's a little dense and it's dark, and I wanted something a little lighter. So we'll start with the Pickwick Papers, but yeah, I have a whole list of books that I want to be reading, including the aforementioned Henry James. But yeah, need to make time for such things, and I should, and I will. Thank you for asking. Sorry, I rambled. Slybler, comment, I'm handing out canned food and Lunchables this year. Wow. Yeah. Are we great yet? Champagne Hand is a member for 5 months. So cool. Hi. Question. Thoughts on the DOJ indicting Kat Abu et al. I don't know enough about it to comment. I apologize. I was out all day being rained upon. Like, seriously, it was like a monsoon. Torrential downpours. Not a monsoon. We don't have monsoons. It was crazy. I was completely sopping wet through and through. I was not paying attention to as much as I should have been. But I will get back to you on that. But essentially, at this point, I think the Department of So-Called Justice under the Trump regime is an illegitimate organization, and I don't trust anybody in leadership there at all. So, GQP added Jan. Sorry about that. GQP added $4 trillion to national debt to give billionaires tax breaks. Yes. I don't know if that's I don't know, GOP or something else, but yes, the Republicans. Donald added more to the national debt than all other presidents combined. So they don't care about any of it. Iowa Hank 1 comment. What's funny is that the Republicans in Congress don't realize that once Donald completes his fascist takeover, they're no longer needed. Yes, and you can say exactly the same thing about the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority in the Supreme Court. They are making themselves irrelevant, which will, of course, put them at risk. Oh, well. Emily, question. Do Republicans want their kids and grandchildren to live in authoritarian dictatorship? I don't get it. Sure. I mean, if they're in power, their children will be just fine. I mean, they'll grow up to be monsters or have extraordinarily deep psychological wounds, but Nazis don't care about such things at all. So, yeah, they'd be completely fine with that. You know, it just reminds me of during World War II in Germany. Members of the SS lived in lovely houses with gardens and swimming pools right next to concentration camps where Jews and others were being slaughtered in the most horrific ways, gassed in ovens, and burned. They had lovely lives, though. Those SS officers and their families, they don't care. Free-thoughted, please donate to local food banks. Yes, please do. It is horrifying that that is a necessity in America in 2025, but it is. So please do donate to local food banks. Susan, comment, send your Halloween-themed regime-resistant photos to info@marytrumpmedia.com. Thank you, Susan, for the reminder. And seriously, guys, we want to see what you come up with. Minus Cheryl, comment, Halloween, the day my boss makes us put a sign in the window to not knock on our office door and has some verse showing how it is an anti-Christian holiday. My boss is MAGA. Oh, you buried the lead there. Never would have figured that one out. That is just, come on, come on. It's like it's children dressing up in costumes and having fun and going to people's houses to get candy. Hey, anti-Christian. Seems to me that his attitude is anti-Christian, but what do I know? Colleen, comment from Canada. I love the emotional sports moments. Elbows up, Canada. Keep doing what you're doing. I love them too. And honestly, like I could just look at the sunset and waves crashing on the beach on a loop for all of eternity. Or anything having to do with underwater sea creatures or the stars. Yeah. Uh-oh. What did I just do? Oh, nothing. Ghostly Air 59. Comment. I love candy corn and those pumpkins. I draw the line at the pumpkins, but I'm willing to allow it. But not in the same category. The candy corn stands alone. It is the platonic ideal of Halloween candy, right? It is the sine qua non. I'll stop. You get my point. Maria, yes, another one on Team Candy Corn. I love the candy corn. Absolutely. Karnak Magnificent chocolate in any form. Yes, there are many of people on that camp. However, we're talking specifically, chocolate is not specifically a Halloween candy. I don't eat candy. The only time I eat candy is when I have candy corn at Halloween. Jana, thank you so much for that. That's great comment. Fellow candy corn freak, sorry. LOL, just wanted to say I'm impressed you made it through that speech on your TikTok without banging your head against the wall. Thank you. I can't tell you how many, I basically on TikTok, I just said part of Donald's speech as if I were saying it. I cannot tell you how many comments I got from people worrying that I was having a stroke. It's kind of funny. In the middle of nowhere, thank you so much as always. Comment, it only makes me enjoy you more. I'm Team Candy Corn all the way. Look at this. This is fabulous. A second, I gotta check something here. Okay, cool. Ms. Brightside Maple, thank you so much. Canada in the house, elbows up. A few coins for your swear jar, Mary. Thank you. We need them. Thank you. Jane, thank you very much, Jane. That's awesome. Comment during a small group reading lesson or discussion led to ice in the neighborhood. I kept my composure and mostly listened. 8-year-old should be allowed to have a childhood fee. Yeah, no kidding. People need to check themselves seriously. Just like look in on your compassion. Like what are you thinking here? Truly. Richard, thank you very much, Richard. This is a getting Panem vibes currently. Don't know what that means. Sorry. We'll try to figure it out. Smart tea pants, member for 1 month. Awesome. Comment, hi, Mary. Just breathe and relax. We'll get around to that at some point. Breathing, relaxing, and reading. All of that's on the agenda. Mendenos, thank you so very, very much. Butterfinger for me. I love Butterfinger. I love them. I don't consider them a Halloween candy, though. Like these, like I said, I don't eat candy anymore. But when I did, Butterfingers, Baby Ruth. What are those things called? I only ate them when I went to the Milk Duds. David YT6808, thank you very much, David. Question, what are your thoughts on the Supreme Court that make a decision about ending Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act? They're going to. John Roberts has been gunning for the Voting Rights Act since the beginning. These people are vile, anti-American, and they hate the Constitution, which is alarming considering they are tasked with protecting and defending and interpreting it in ways that protect the rights of the American people. But they don't care because they're fascists. Susan, thank you again. Oh, this is different. Okay, send in your scary good Halloween photos to info@MaryTrumpMedia. Send in decorations, costumes, or anything that combines Halloween and resistance to the regime. Yes, awesome. I could not have said it better. And finally, Deborah, thank you so much for being a super sticker. That is awesome. And that does it for us. Thank you guys so much for being with me tonight. Again, very excited for Halloween. To everybody watching on YouTube, streaming on Twitter, and over at our Substack, The Good on Us, to everybody listening to the podcast, to all of our new members, everybody gifting memberships, our super stickers, people giving us our donations. Thank you, thank you, thank you, truly. Best way, easiest way, I should say, to support us is subscribe to the channel. We finally made it to 480,000 subscribers, but we really, really, really desperately do want to get to 500,000. Also, another way to support us, we drop videos every single day, every 7 days a week, in addition to the lives. Watch those videos, share them, like them, comment on them. Helps a lot. So to our amazing moderators, thanks guys for everything you do day in, day out. It is a thankless job, but we appreciate it. And of course, to my amazing team, thank you guys so much. It's almost Friday, so we're going to get there. All right, everybody. I will see you tomorrow night for Mary Trump Live at 6 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind.